If you think back to our previous lessons on flipped lessons and prior knowledge, I bet you can already guess some of the things you'll be asked to do after viewing this week's video. Did you take a guess? If you did, you just practiced our next reading strategy, predicting. What is predicting? Now, if it's my turn to guess, I suspect that the concept of predicting is not new to you, and that you've been asked to make predictions in other classes before. But before we move forward, let's take a minute to review what predicting is and talk about the expectations for making high school level predictions. When we predict, we use the title, text, and illustrations to determine what we think will happen. In other words, we use different clues from the text to take a guess about the future. But that's not the end of our job. Later, we have to go back and revisit those predictions after we've learned more information to figure out whether we were right or wrong. Sometimes we'll be right, and other times we'll be wrong. Just like with prior knowledge, it doesn't matter whether you were right or wrong. What matters is that you took the time to make a quality prediction. If I were to say to you, I predict it will rain pineapples tomorrow, is that a prediction? Technically, yes, that's a prediction. It's taking a guess about the future. However, we should also look at how likely it is that that prediction will come true. In this case, not very likely. So let's go back to that definition we gave at the beginning. Use the title, text, and illustrations to determine what I think will happen. This is how we will make quality, high school level predictions. From the time you were 2 or 3, you've been able to predict. The reason we're studying this skill, then, is that we want to improve our ability to use key details from the text in order to make quality predictions. As a rule, you should always be able to support your predictions with evidence from the text. Why is predicting important? Making predictions gives us a reason to read. If we've made a quality prediction based on evidence, it should help to motivate us to keep reading in order to figure out if that prediction will come true. It increases our curiosity and makes us want to read more. Predicting also increases our engagement or interaction with the text. It helps us think about what we're reading. If you're one of those people who can read something but then can't remember what you've just read when you finished, predicting is a strategy that can help fix that. When you make a prediction, it helps your brain focus on the reading to see if you're right. And it can even help us remember details from the reading, since our brain will probably be paying extra attention. How do we make quality predictions? To do this well, we should make both short and long-term predictions. In fact, good readers will predict a range of events. We should predict what will happen in the next paragraph, on the next page, at the end of the chapter, and at the end of the book. It's also a skill that we should use for both fiction and nonfiction. If it's a fiction text, like a novel or short story, then you'll make predictions about the characters and plot of the story. If it's a nonfiction text, you can use information from the reading, as well as some of the text details, like chapter or section headings or titles, pictures, graphs, or diagrams, as well as any bold or highlighted words. Just like with prior knowledge, we should make predictions every time we read. And when it comes to predictions, we should use this skill multiple times during the reading. That means it's important to note that predicting is not just something we do before we begin. It's a skill readers should use before, during, and after our reading. Before we read, we should already pause to activate our prior knowledge by asking, what do we already know? Then, we should use that information to make a prediction. Since we're basing the prediction on prior knowledge, we should have the evidence to prove that it's a quality prediction. During our reading, we should combine our prior knowledge with the new information we're learning to check predictions we made earlier. Were we right or wrong? Or do we need to keep reading? And use that information to make new predictions. After our reading, we should think about what we've learned to see if any of our predictions were answered, and to make new predictions about what we'll read the next time we read. What are some examples? Now that we know what a quality prediction is, why it's important, and how to use it, let's practice. If you were given a short story called The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe, you could easily make a prediction such as, "This will be about a black cat." And you'd be right. But is this the best we can do? Let's try making a quality prediction based on our prior knowledge. Ask yourself, what do I already know? Remember, we might need to train our brain how to think about prior knowledge, so think about the different pieces of information you were provided. Okay, you likely know what the color black is and what a cat is. Do you know anything about black cats? Let's also look at the author's name. Does Edgar Allan Poe sound familiar? Do you know of any other titles he's written? Do you know what kind of stories he writes? If we use this information, we could probably make some more specific predictions. Some predictions that you might have made could include, "It'll be a story about a cat that's bad luck," or "It'll be a story about a cat that's evil." Using our prior knowledge helped us make a higher level prediction. Since predictions help us focus our reading, motivate us to keep reading, and help us remember key details, our predictions based on prior knowledge will force us to read a little further to discover if we're right or wrong. Let's try one more. What predictions could you make about the next section if you were reading a chapter from a world history book that ended with improvements in shipbuilding and navigation in the 1400s? Many European countries entered a race to explore other areas of the world. You could predict that the next section will be about exploration, but let's see if we can make a higher level prediction. First, think about your prior knowledge. What do you already know about this topic? If you still need some more practice activating prior knowledge, take a look at some of these questions. After you've activated prior knowledge, use what you know to make at least one quality prediction. What do you think is something this world history book would talk about in the next section? Some predictions that you might have made could include, "The next section will talk about how Christopher Columbus discovered America," or "Countries like England, France, and Spain will want to be the first to colonize other parts of the world, like North America, Africa, or Asia, to increase their power." You certainly could have made any number of other predictions. As long as you used evidence based on your prior knowledge, you should have made a quality prediction. Recap. Predicting means to use the title, text, and illustrations to determine what we think will happen. Quality predictions are based on evidence, prior knowledge, or clues, and we must check back later to see if we were right or wrong. And as always, both short-term and long-term predictions should be made every time we read, before, during, and after our reading. That wraps up our flipped lesson on predicting. If you have any questions about this strategy, feel free to watch all or part of the video again, or ask your teacher when you return to class. Click the link in the description box below to access a Google form for this lesson.